We're in Jerome, Arizona. It's supposed to be very, very spooky. Every other building in this town is haunted. There are some spooky things, but the spookiest thing that's happened so far is earlier when we were taking a walk back from the restaurant, the police showed up for a domestic dispute. Now, was it marital problems? I don't know. Was it ghosts? Probably.
So this was a ghost town. It was originally founded like back in the 1890s, and they were mining copper in the area. And so basically while the mine was running, they had a ton of people, like thousands of people living on this hill.
Anywho, I had a lot of time to do some research over the last few weeks and see what interesting things are on the way here. There's not a whole heck of a lot, but we saw, the Keepers of the Wild, which is a Tiger King-esque place that has like tigers and monkeys. And
I think it's more on the Carol Baskin side of Tiger King.
Yeah, they're not breeding them.
It's more of a rescue situation.
Yeah, supposedly. No, but yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. No, Keepers of the Wild was a lot of fun, and I purchased some tickets on Groupon, and I was like, sweet. And it says, expires the day I bought them. I was like, oh, God. It turns out the deal expired. I called in a panic. I'm like, oh, my God, what if I don't show up? You're 100-something miles away. And it turned out the lady left a nice message and was like, no, that's fine. You just show us the ticket. Yeah, Keepers of the Wild, they were like, you can't take the dog in there because Drive the Tiger is crazy.
Yeah, there's very few places that you can't take a service dog, but zoos are one of the ones where it's kind of hit or miss because you have to kind of balance the safety of the animals at the actual facility, and then you have to also balance the health and safety and stress levels of your own animal.
Yeah.
So taking a service dog around tigers where everyone just kind of gets ramped up is not the best idea.
Yeah, I mean, like they had it was chain link fence. I'm sure it was very heavy duty chain link fence, but I was like, man, I don't trust chain link fence with zombies that don't exist. So if it's a tiger that does exist and can climb, I don't know. I think they just keep them really well fed, and we live on their good graces at Keepers of the Wild. No, I'm sure they know a lot about what they're doing more than I do. I'm just a schmuck. So, but I was okay. Low key, I was scared. I was scared when we went to Keepers of the Wild. It's nothing against them. It was just my own anxiety. I'm walking with my my 2-year-old son and my 2 daughters, and I'm like, which one am I going to knock over to save myself?
Wow. Jerome, cool. It's because it's on a hill, there are stairs and sidewalks like with gates and guardrails, and it's a lot of like going uphill or going upstairs, going downstairs, going up hills again.
And what is it that the guy said? They're very textured.
Yes, so
it's crumbling.
Crumbling.
Tonight we went to the restaurant, the Asylum at the Grand Hotel?
Yes.
And it was very good food. And I forgot to buy some wine, and there's like some bars down here, but I don't know how expensive it was going to be. So I was like, hey, take a bottle of wine, don't open it, and take it to go. And don't worry, we walked here. We walked up so many flights of stairs. Oh my God, each more crumbly than the last. Anyway, yes. So I got Juggernaut. It is a hillside Cabernet, which fits because we are on the side of a hill here in Jerome. It's called Juggernaut. I think I've had this before. I remember the creepy lion creature.
While he's opening that, I'll tell you a little bit about the Grand Hotel. It sits up high above the rest of the town, and it was the former hospital for this region. So originally, it was actually the 4th rebuild of the hospital because they had built the hospital. It burned down like twice because I guess that's a serious concern in Wild West towns is just fireproofing things.
I don't think anything had, according to the tour guide too, everything was just like really slapdash and
yeah, and I guess that's true in a lot of like boom towns. They go up within a couple of days or a couple of years, and then they're just basically, gone.
Yeah.
Once the mine runs dry. And Jerome almost suffered the same fate. It had a couple of fires that destroyed like everything. The mines were actually like on the same hill that the town sits on. And so, thank you.
There you go.
And so, they were like digging like shafts under the town essentially, and then they switched that and they started doing pit mining, which used like a lot of explosives. But the Jerome sits on like a fault line, I guess. So like with all of the explosions happening, the ground's just generally pretty unstable as well. And so I guess there was just like crumbling architecture kind of everywhere. Grand Hotel was basically the fourth iteration of Jerome's hospital. And it closed in like 1950. They reopened it, I believe in the 80s or 90s. And now it's like probably it's the only full service hotel here in Jerome. So the Grand Hotel, that's supposedly like one of the most haunted buildings in the area. The whole town has a reputation for being haunted. There's just a lot of deaths in the area from mining in general.
You should tell them about the weird, what the hell is that thing where they burnt the bodies?
Oh!
It's just sitting in the square. It's like, hey, come look at this creepy barbecue that we used to use on the miners and their families when they were dead to save on cost.
There were smelters kind of all over the place. And so there was one that they actually have on display. Now, I don't know if they use this specific smelter or not, but allegedly back in the day, miners didn't really have like a great death benefits for their occupation. So the guy that was kind of like running the town and the mine, he basically allowed them to use the smelters to cremate miners or their family members who died in the town for a nominal fee.
Dude, entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
He was a man. He was a man of business, and he was a horrendous dude. The tour guide was telling us all about the town and how it was founded. And I'll tell you, man, founder of this town was a piece of garbage. Like, he was so rude and mean, and like, if you lost a limb in a smelting.
Oh, this was like so messed up. So like, if you got injured or disfigured, in the mines, like, this is your job, right? So like, you have some sort of accident and now you're missing a couple fingers or something like that. He passed the laws in this town where you could not show your face during the day. Like, you couldn't go to the grocery store.
Dude.
Because he didn't want like wives or husbands or other employees to see their possible future is essentially what it was.
My favorite horrible thing that the guy did was, if this is messed up. So if you showed up to your job, you punch in or whatever, and you fall down a mine shaft to your death, and you're just not there anymore, he would write down that you didn't show up for work. I mean, who knows how many skeletons are beneath our feet?
That's something that they brought up too on the ghost tour is, so one of the cobblestone streets, like outside of the church, was essentially paved over. Like, the headstones were moved, but the bodies remained.
Dude, they poltergeisted?
They poltergeisted around the town. But this whole mountain is like a honeycomb of just like mine shafts and craziness. Like, it is insane. And then so back to like the whole smelter situation. Like, we'll go ahead and cremate you. So back in the day, I guess, when you use smelters to like basically separate out like the ore from all the other crap that's like in there.
The slag.
It formed something called slag. So they didn't have like a use for it, so they mostly discarded it until they discovered that they could use it to like pave. And so
I wasn't here for this, so like...
Oh, yeah, so yeah.
Ooh.
The lady was telling us like all the shiny bits in the street were basically ashes from miners and their family members that, you know, couldn't pay for like their own funeral or burial costs. So yeah, that's kind of gross.
I want to throw this out there. I mean, if any place is actually haunted, it's got to be this cartoonishly ghoulish town with really friendly people. Jerome, Arizona. My God. Tour. So if you're not into ghosts, but you like the Wild West, they'll talk about it. I think there's like a train thing here too.
Yes.
And if you just like history, there's plaques everywhere. I mean, you can't throw a part of the crumbling body streets without hitting something historic or haunted. It's wonderful. If there's anybody in Jerome, Arizona, don't come at us. We love your town. It's beautiful. It's very picturesque. And everybody here has been like wonderful and nice.
Yes.
And they're really into ghosts.